So my name is Neha Abraham, and I have a background in, I studied history for my bachelor's, and I did a master's in sociology. Um, After my master's, I was interested in music, so I actually went and worked with some nomadic communities of musicians in Rajasthan. And then I was looking for something closer to Delhi, and I'm from Delhi, and then that took me to Kathputli Colony. So when I was working with the musicians at Kathputli Colony, I sort of became acquainted with other issues in terms of housing, livelihoods, what the young people felt about jobs, and that sort of led me to an overall interest in the urban. And so, yeah, now I'm at IIHS. I got to know about the fellowship on Facebook. Okay, so there were two things. When urban sociology was something that we studied in college, and it was one of my favorite subjects. But a lot of the theorists that we read were all Western theorists, and I didn't see a connect between the things that were being talked about in class and the things that I saw in my city. So that was one. The second was, like I mentioned earlier, there were lots of different issues that I was seeing, but I could understand that they were urban issues, but I didn't really have enough of an understanding to sort of anchor issues of like housing, livelihood, education within the context of the urban. What I liked about when I looked up the coursework at IIHS is the faculty was a good mix of practitioners and academics, and all people who've worked in the Indian context. So that was something that I was looking for, just something to help me give me a more theoretical grounding in the context of Indian cities. So I think in terms of classroom learning, yes, it was my expectations were definitely met. I'd say the coursework is rigorous. It's very contemporary. I was challenged quite a bit, and yeah, I think it's helped me make a lot of connections across the board, and I'm thinking about a lot of things that I earlier didn't understand, or there were things that weren't even within my worldview that I'm now thinking about. Faculty give us a lot of attention. They really indulge us and go all out to answer all our questions and connect us with appropriate resources. So that way, it's been great. Yeah, it definitely has contemporary relevance because so my tendency is to sort of reflect and think back on what I'd done before, and I think often the faculties push me to think of new things, think of what next, what's happening now. So yeah, I think everything that we're working on, whether it's policy research, the issues that we talk about in class, even theory, it's all very, very recent. It's all pretty cutting edge, I'd say. In fact, for the theory class, one of the things we read was in fact a day before it was actually published. So that was something quite interesting. It's pushed me a lot, like personally. I think when you come here, I feel like I was very open to collaborate, and I was excited about meeting people from other disciplines. But it can get challenging when you're working in a group. Also, particularly for us from the arts, we're a little more comfortable with slightly more abstract ideas, whereas people from more technical trades are slightly more result-oriented. And here we're constantly being pushed to like pay attention to the process. So I think that was a big learning experience of working with people who are trained so differently. So I'd done a bunch of different things before I came here, but I came here with the expectation of getting into journalism full-time. And I actually wanted to sharpen my understanding of issues around the urban because I wanted to write about issues relating to the urban. And I think it's equipped me with skills to do research and has also sharpened my understanding. Like I have a more nuanced understanding of various things that I was concerned about earlier. So I think that will hold me in good stead professionally as well. When I came here, I really liked how it was commons and a practica, and then you had the opportunity to focus a lot on electives. The commons, now that I'm in the electives, I feel like the commons were kind of flat. I didn't feel challenged at all. It was challenging, the practica bit was challenging, but I didn't always think it was challenging in the most positive way. I think yeah, the group, I think some of the like desired outcomes or the purpose of the practica could have been better established. I also felt that there was, we could have had a little more time in the field, or we could have been oriented a bit better about the spaces that we were trying to understand. However, the elective courses have been great. I really like that I had the opportunity to choose what things that I could focus on, and I chose to like look at housing, look at southern urban theory, and understand urban regional economic development. I think these were things that I had questions about, and I came to the fellowship with certain questions, and I'm going back with more nuanced or like bigger questions, and also skills to find answers for those. So that's been really great, and I think it's also really nice that we have these master classes with guest faculty, and these are people who work with the government. They work as they're civil servants. We do get some insider kind of information in terms of like what their job entails, but also the politics that they have to handle and deal with. I mean, I think some of these things are like, they're like open secrets. You never really study about them in college, but yeah, they're things that you have to work with when you enter the workforce. So I really appreciate that that component was also included. For my project, I'm actually working on a podcast, and I'm looking at urban health issues, and I'm looking at growing rates of diabetes in the urban context. But I'm excited about like the fact that my final output will be in the form of a podcast. So it's given me an opportunity to understand urban health, interact with a lot of practitioners in the field in that sense, and also like gain skills in terms of like working with sound and editing, that form. So that's something that has been pretty exciting. If I talk about how I've grown personally, I also think my own notions or stereotypes that I had in my mind before coming here about people have been sort of challenged. So some of my closest friends, or one of my closest friends in this batch, is someone who sort of politically is more right-wing, or I lean left, and I didn't think that this was ever possible. But I think it's given me also more nuanced understanding of how people from different states, their political perspectives on different things, and how they perceive the government, how they perceive issues on the ground, and their approach to interventions. So that's something that's been interesting. I like that it's not people who subscribe to a particular ideology who are in the batch. That's something great. I think come here with a lot of expectations. I remember watching the videos before I joined the fellowship, and a lot of fellows said, don't come here with any expectations. I would say come here with a lot of expectations and a lot of ideas, but very much like an openness to collaborate and reflect and understand each other. I think the more headstrong anyone is, it's a little more difficult to work in this type of environment. And I think IIHS is great in the sense that it gives us the openness to sort of explore and ask questions, and also criticize. So that's great.